fast forward to this little thing. So when you design for the average, you design for this very specific person, and I like this term a lot. I found it, a psychology term, it's called task selection bias. So if we tell a person to perform a task, they believe they should be able to do it. If they can't, they feel guilty and blame themselves. And if we design, if we say this is a small, medium, and large size for clothing, if you don't fit in this, you're wrong. You have something wrong with you because, we've created these boxes for you to fit in, you don't fit a box, so therefore you've been marginalized and you no longer matter. It's kind of, in essence, this is what happened. And we've continued to use this idea of averages, create these measurements for another 100 years. For 1930, we were creating cockpits for these new machines, these new airplanes, basically. And people in 1920, 1930 were quite small, and these cockpits were really small. So they worked out fine. They measured out these 1,000 pilots, and they said, no, the cockpits needs to be this size. Cockpit, everything's fine. In 1950, they're using the same measurements from 1920. People got larger, significantly larger. And the US Air Force realized that pilots were dying, not in battle as much as they were dying in training because they literally couldn't fit in the cockpits and control their planes effectively, and they were crashing their planes. So a guy by the name of Gilbert Daniels, a Harvard grad, very young guy, was tasked with doing another one of these Catalase studies, basically taking 1,000 pilots at the time and measuring out their distances and creating a new system for these cockpits. Found out, obviously, that people got bigger. So cockpits got bigger, everything's great. But Gilbert Daniels took it a step further and went, well, let's hold on a second. I took 10 different body measurements to create this super average dude, this hypothetical average person. How many people actually are average? In the 1,000 people that I measured these 10 different body parts, these 10 different things that I thought were important. And how many people were actually average? And spoilers, none of them. No one fits in what was called this average. So the average person, Al the average person, is a mythical creature that doesn't actually exist. So why are we designing for him? And we continue to design for these average people in everything. We think about, let's bring it back to education. We're using standardized testing to quantify intelligence. And if we can't quantify the length of the chest circumference of something that we can actually quantify, how do we quantify someone's intelligence? Or how can we design for someone that doesn't exist and leave this giant mass of people who are being marginalized? 10% of people, 10% of males are colorblind in some way or form. 15 to 20% of people over the age of 18 have some sort of hearing loss. These aren't these kind of rare instances. This is just the normal. People are on spectrums one way or the other. There's no such thing as putting people in boxes and hoping that they fit in them. So it's the idea of user design, smart user design. And when I think about designing for museums, we're not thinking of the 6-year-old white male. We can't do that anymore. We're thinking of everyone. We're thinking about their parents. We're thinking about their brothers and sisters who maybe can't read. We're thinking about universal design for everything. And it goes back to education, universal design for learning. It's basically the idea, it's a framework that allows teachers to reinforce their learning environments and materials for a wider audience, for everybody, based on just cognitive science. I'm going to go into this because it's so cool. I love UDL. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. Give me a second. So this is cool because it is based on science. It's based on parts of the brain, recognition, strategic, effective. It's basically the what, how, and why. They pinpointed what parts of the brain actually do these actions. And they say, well, everyone goes through this process to learn. This is how people learn. But people learn differently. We have these different cognitive differences, and people who don't fit in what we're calling the average box are getting failed out of college. Or schools. Like schools are failing them because we're not designing for everyone. We're designing for whoever's designing for the average person. We're designing for this average, non-existent person. So to go back to design for your audience, what we do in the museum industry is designing for everybody. We have to, because we can't really predict. There's never going to be a pack of 6-year-olds that go into a museum by themselves. They're going to be with parents. Parents need to be able to assist them in whatever activity they're doing. We need to be able to reach everybody in a museum exhibit.